You could do a little bit better than that, man. You could do a little bit better than that. Let's go. Hey, man, it's so good to see everybody out there, man, on this wonderful Saturday afternoon. Yep, I am glad to see everybody out there, man. I hope you are enjoying your Saturday afternoon. Just like I am here with you guys. About to cook up a little something, about to cook up a little. Thank you. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, man. Y'all've been with me through the long haul, man. So we here. Let's rock out. Let's go ahead and rock on out, man. I had came across something on YouTube, man. Let's go ahead and get my face right. Where my face at? There we go. There we go. There we go. Aren't you such a handsome fella? Aren't you just a handsome fella, boy? You look like your mama and your daddy, dog. All right, man. One thing about it, and two things for sure. Okay. I had came across something on YouTube, man. And once I come across something on YouTube, I always have to bring it to you guys, man, because I always think that it's some pretty good information, especially for all you truckers out there, man. For all you truckers, for all you blue collar workers like myself, people who find joy in working with their hands, joy with the labor of life. You know, I'm going to bring the information to you, man. Anything that could be beneficial to you, man. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. I have something that came up on about the load board, freight rates, and how they might be controlled by an algorithm, right? And that kind of blew my mind because I was like, wow, 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 wow. When I'm going to and from certain customers, right? I'm noticing that I'm not able to pick up from the same place that I delivered from like I used to in the past. Okay. However, I do see trucks leaving that same facility, same trailer, same company. And I'm like, well, damn, what the heck is going on? Because I've been on the load board diligently, right? All day long throughout the day. Anytime I park, I'm looking at the load board because that's how they got us programmed. They got us programmed to look at these damn phones. These jokers, they're smart now. They are smart. Let's don't kid ourselves. They know what the hell they doing, right? All right. So they got these load boards, they got these cell phones, and you are looking at them all day long. The only time that you can't look at the load board is when you're in a vehicle and you are in motion. Regardless if you're in the passenger seat or the driver's seat, the car just automatic. The phone just says that what, you're in motion. You can't look at the load board, right? Fine, I am cool with that. I'm cool with that. But once I park, man, I go ahead and I start looking at the load board, and then I'm like, well, damn. All right, there's nothing at this facility that I want to pick up. I have to deadhead, I don't know, an hour, maybe 2 hours away, which I'm cool with that because if you've been in trucking, that's kind of just how it is now, right? You're going to have to deadhead a little further out. But, but, something happened yesterday, and I'm like, hold up. What the hell is going on around here? And I'm glad that I saw it. I'm glad that I had a chance to peep it out, right? So I dropped my trailer, which is a loaded trailer. I'm doing my paperwork to let them know that hey, this load has been completed. And while I'm waiting on an empty trailer to get, you know, unloaded, there's another driver. He walks out the facility with a folder and something that looked like a bill of lading. And I've recognized that folder and that bill of lading. That's that's Frito. That's PepsiCo. And I'm like, well, damn. And he's bobtailed. He's bobtailed. And then while I'm waiting, a few moments later, he zooms by in the parking lot with a loaded trailer. How do I know that it's loaded? Because I look at the back of the trailer and it has something that we call a seal on the back. Hold on. So you got a bill of lading, you got a sealed up trailer. That means that's a damn loaded trailer that's leaving up out of this facility. Why can't I see that? Like, why can't I see that? And then you know what? Something came across, like I said, man. YouTube. It just came to me. I don't know why God does it, but he does it. I wasn't even really looking for it. I was actually doing some more research on another topic that I'm going to present later on. But I was like, you know what? Maybe this can help somebody else out there too. Okay. So here we go, man. I came across a video about Uber and how Uber drivers are seeing different rates. Same location, same company. However, they're seeing same time of day too. All things considering the same, right? Maybe except for the vehicle. But the rates are different. And I'm like, whoa. This is something. We got us something to look at here, right? So I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and get on right on into it, man, because this is right up my alley, man. I love a good old conspiracy theory. I love me a good old conspiracy theory, man. So we're gonna go ahead and load this thing on up, man, so we can go ahead and look at it together. All right. And this is from YouTube, like I said. Let's go ahead and blow that thing on up that way. Put me back on screen, man, so we can go ahead and see all of this. Mm-hmm. What we looking like now? Let's rock out.
Your favor, right?
So this is from. It said we put 7 drivers in one room, and said that you will be shocked. I think this is from a Perfect Union, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all go check out Perfect Union. This is a really good content um, channel. It's about blue collar work. It's about making America great again from the inside out. Not necessarily MAGA stuff, more like working class stuff. As you can see from this fine panel of gentlemen, you have what looks like some shades of of the spectrum all across the board, except for no blacks. But blacks are in this video though. So let's check this out though, right quick, man.
Why does Uber win? Well, because it's rigged in their favor, right?
In 2023, a law professor published a paper with shocking implications.
So this is 2023 what they're talking about, man. So 2 years ago, man.
Her research found that tech firms like Uber and Lyft were using secret algorithms to dictate what drivers earn, based on factors we can't even see. She called it algorithmic wage discrimination.
So let's just say, because all of this information is transferable, especially when you start talking about transportation industry, you know what I'm saying? If you get paid if you get paid like an independent contractor, right? If you get paid on, per load or per mile, this will apply. Okay. Let's run it back a little bit. Then we're going to let it rock.
Based on factors we can't even see. She called it algorithmic wage discrimination. And this technology, or revolution, isn't restricted to rideshare companies. Once that technology...
And that right there, what made me pause for the cause, because he said, hold up. It doesn't stop at the rate, the rideshare. I wonder if trucking companies could use this same technology. I've been in several orientations where the trucking company would say, we're not just a trucking company, we are a technology company, and we are implementing technology all across the board. Now, while you're sitting in that room with, several candidates, and you're like, well, that's cool. They're implementing a app on the phone, and they're doing some things in the truck. They're keeping up with the times. It goes deeper than that. They are they are tracking your data. They are tracking your movements. If you're Prime Inc., they're putting a camera in your truck and they're watching your movements. It's getting crazy out there. They got you who, you what, you when, you where. And I'm wondering if all of that is calculated in how you get loads and how much you get paid for those damn loads. Holy moly. Let's watch.
Technology's in there. They can raise prices. On a hot summer day, I want a lot of ice cream. I want lemonade.
Let's just go down the hypothetical, right? Let's say that you're having an outstanding week, and I know this trucker rocks. He said something along the lines where he's done set himself up for a banging week, right? He's got the miles to do it. He's got the hours to do it. He's in the midweek, right? And he's at a great number to where he has 4 days to really knock it out the ballpark. And then at the end of the week, it falls flat every single time. Now, I've seen that too. Not at that company, at a different company. And I'm like, well, damn. It seems like once I get around a magic number, and then something automatically happens. I promise you. And then, like I said, at this company right here, where I'm at now, I'm like, well, damn. I need a trailer. I've been looking at the loads. I know loads come up out this area, especially this facility. Why don't I see any? Are they messing with the algorithm? Let's see.
Running low, they can raise the price.
The price of milk, even your paycheck, the very fabric of our economy, all controlled by invisible and unaccountable algorithms. So about a year ago, I started reaching out. to the companies. They largely denied it, only to contradict themselves a few months later.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
Then I reached out to the academics, and one of the frustrating things was that the evidence seemed to be in the shadows. A single study, a hint in an earnings call, a story from a driver.
Now, I'm gonna say this to a bunch of you drivers out there. If you and content creators, if you're really serious about some information and getting some information, tap into those scholars, tap into your local universities, whatever university where you at. If you're in Atlanta, talk to the people at Georgia Tech or maybe Athens or maybe even some of those HBCUs. You have Morris down there, you have Clark down there. Like tap into those schools, man. If you're in the New York area, go to NYU, tap in. Rutgers, tap in. They would love to do some investigation, especially they would love to do some investigation on how tech companies are really um, handling business these days. But let's keep on watching.
It was mostly theoretical. Until a few months ago, when I got an email from a guy. I had published a video that argued Uber's newfound profitability came at the expense of drivers and riders. He said we were at the tip of the iceberg. So I called him. We talked. 3 weeks later, I was on a flight to Los Angeles, looking to settle the question once and for all. Are rideshare companies offering drivers different rates for the same work? What I found put the legality of this whole tech revolution in question.
Man, he's bringing up legal implications like, wow, is this even legal? What they're doing? Is it discrimination? God almighty. And here's the thing. Here's where companies, before I get ahead of myself, but companies kind of got their sense, especially trucking companies, but it's going to be all across the board in every aspect of the workforce. There are no more employees, just contractors. But let's go.
They have broken every single local, state, federal law when it comes to labor, when it comes to transportation.
That's Sergio Avedian. He sent me the email. He's an experienced driver and a senior contributor at the Rideshare Guy, an influential resource for gig economy workers.
We were used to something called a rate card. We were used to getting paid by time and distance.
Then, overnight, the transparency vanished, replaced by a secret algorithm that takes into account potentially hundreds of different variables. They called it upfront pricing.
I would like to know, what are some of those variables? Like what do they take in account of? Now, I've been kind of scratching at this thing a little while, and I made a video a few months back, maybe last year, could be the year before that, and it was about how older women, they're coming into the trucking industry and they're not doing so well at certain companies. And I'm like, well, are these women suited for trucking? Because, just on surface, just looking at what they're going through, they all kind of going through the same thing, having the same experience, but then it's happening at that specific company. And I'm like, okay, well, we're here today. Maybe there are some other things that's in play. Age, gender. There, I might say race. Like all of this can come into play now, right? So what's the weather? How many times you been late? How many times you been early? How many times you call out? How many days you've been working consecutive? Let's keep on going.
Uber's losses turned to profits around that same time. Coincidence? I don't know. Lyft followed suit, and now they claim they're on the path to profitability.
The algorithms are set up in a way to charge the rider as much as it's possible and to pay the driver as little as possible.
A lot of drivers feel Uber and Lyft are paying different wages for the same rides. But we don't really know because the companies, they aren't talking.
We're doing a very simple thing. We're picking up.
And that's the thing, right? These companies, they don't have to talk, right? They can just say, well, generic, right? Cliche, and then you go on about your merry way. And that's it. That's it, fam. But, and if you're like me, sometimes you'll be like, oh, whatever, man. I'm just here to get my paycheck and get up and get gone. If you're like me, right? Most of us, we're just here to get a little bit of money, man, pay some bills. And if it's enough to cover our needs and some of our wants, we're really not going to say anything, right? Until something happens and it changes the way that we see things, and it kind of ripples our everyday way of being. Like, okay, hold up, something happened. What happened? I was in a routine, because Lord knows we hate change. Even though, because we're creatures of habit and humans are fickle all at the same time, right? We're creatures of habit and we're fickle. However, we like to change on our terms. Anything that's outside of our norm it's going to cause for pause, right? Let's go ahead and keep on going.
People point A to dropping off point B. I shouldn't make less money than the next guy. I should not. But because it's not regulated, because we don't have rate cards, because we don't know what we're going to make, trip to trip, it's demoralizing, it's upsetting.
So with Sergio's help, we decided to...
Let's run that back, guys.
Really know because the companies, they aren't talking.
We're doing a very simple thing. We're picking up people point A to dropping off point B. I shouldn't make less money than the next guy. I should not. But because it's not regulated, because we don't have rate cards, because we don't know what we're going to make, trip to trip, it's demoralizing, it's upsetting.
So with Sergio's help, we decided to test it.
This is where it gets really, really good at, right? This is where it gets really, really good. I do think more companies should be upfront with their information, but they're not, right? Like I said, we kind of just go with the flow. But we should be more diligent about what we're doing. We should be more inquisitive about what it is that we're doing.
Called 7 experienced drivers to a high traffic area in Los Angeles with the sole purpose of testing if rideshare companies are paying different rates for the same rides. At the start, each driver will activate their screen capture software, open up the app, and place their phones on the table. Why the table? Sergio has done similar experiments.
Okay. As we can see right now, man, you got a 3-cent difference right there. That one's at the same one. And you have, let me see, 1, 2 at 0. Let's see where this thing is going.
And the rate disparities were blamed on location differences. When the experiments are done, the drivers will send their screen recording to Sergio's team, who will then sync and analyze the fares. And then we're going to see what's really going on.
All right, let's just look at this one right quick. Well, I paused it. So that first phone got 944, and then the third one Well, the second one, it says this request is no longer available. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Now, just what I was talking about being in Charlotte, right? I know for a fact where I'm going, there are loads coming from out that location, but there's nothing available to me. All right, so I'm gonna have to deadhead out. Okay. So that first phone, 944, they got a rate there, they got a fare. The second phone, there are no fares. Third phone, the rate fare goes down 3 cents. Fourth phone, then there's a significant drop off from 944 to 928. Okay, then the fifth phone, it goes up to 952. Then it goes to 928 on the next phone. And then finally, that seventh phone, there's nothing up there as well. All right. Is it a coincidence? No. Now that we know that, it's a big fat no. These things are controlled by algorithm. Let's see if we can get to a why or what's happening. Let's go. Man, check out this right here, man. Okay. So even now they running the test, and you could just see how different fares are popping up for different rates in the same area, and their phones are in the same area. Man, let's go.
He's getting paid $1 more if he goes there, according to the map, and nobody else is. Nobody else is seeing that dollar surge.
We found that Uber offered the same rides 46 times to multiple drivers. 63% of the time, one of the drivers was offered a bit less money for the exact same ride.
They want to make few pennies difference, a few pennies on 2.7 billion trips a quarter, which is from the last.
My question is why though? He's saying it's about money, but what it has to do with the driver, right? With what the driver is making.
Last earnings report.
I do have a idea, but let's see.
Is millions, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Lyft was even worse. The price gap wasn't just a little off, it was a lot off. We saw differences of up to $3 to $4 after bonuses.
All right, so I just went on and did a screenshot right here, man. The phone on the left, it says that they have a fare that's going 2.5 miles over $9, and then another phone, same trip, 5.5, $5.37. Like, yo, you would think that these companies, and this is what I think also too, these companies are kind of banking on, I want to say that they're banking on you not communicating with your driver. I mean, but damn, even back in the day, before technology was what it is now, drivers would talk about their rates. They would talk about their fare at these diners, right? They were talking about, well, this company is great, and they're doing this, and I'm driving 3,000 miles per day. You would hear those stories at the old truck stops, at the buffet line, you would hear that. So trucking companies, truck drivers would, talk about what they're getting. But somehow I want to say that they plan on you not communicating with a driver. Now I have multiple times asked a driver to see his phone. Like, hey, let me see what's on your load board right now. Let me see what you're seeing and seeing if this thing adds up. Um, I have I've noticed a difference between the load board between the IC and the owner operator. Okay, those are two different load boards, and you'll see two different rates and two different information altogether. But I think they're banking on drivers just not communicating with each other, or maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't care that you communicate with your partner. They're like, "What you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? We're just gonna go across the border and get some Migos, and they're gonna run the freight for way less anyway." Oh man.
And drivers don't know why one person gets a bonus and another doesn't.
Well, that adds up like on 30 trips to $10 a day. That's $300 a month.
Sheesh.
Why should I get paid less $300 a month
Because you need me.
than the other guy?
I contacted Uber and Lyft to see how they would calculate fares. Lyft, well, they never responded. Uber directed me to a blog post. When I explained the experiment's results, they replied by copying and pasting a portion of that same blog post. The section outlines different reasons drivers could see different fares. But we controlled for everything that we could. We called the drivers to the same space, placed their phones inches apart, had drivers monitoring incoming promotions, and constantly refreshing their screen. The only thing we didn't account for was any secret test Uber could have been running at the time, which we couldn't because the fare algorithm is secret and the test is secret. There's a whole lot of questions here, like mainly.
All right, then. So that means you're gonna have to talk to whoever that is at Uber or at Lyft, or maybe even the creator of the app, who's in charge of setting the rates at Uber and Lyft. Talk to those people.
Is this legal? And there's no laws against algorithmic wage discrimination. That article I mentioned at the start suggests that opaque algorithms can easily facilitate violations of anti-discrimination laws. Uber denies this, but their own research reveals a glaring disparity. Women drivers earn 7% less than men, potentially due to algorithmic wage setting.
And this what brings me back to the conversation I was just previously having about. Now I saw older women um doing worse than older men. And I'm like, well, is it about competence? Is it about health? And then here it is right here. It just says wage discrimination, man. Mm, mm. Even in a tech driven world, women drivers still suffer from wage discrimination. Lord, it's crazy. But I wonder why, right? I wonder if it has anything to do with maybe women drivers. They just don't go where men drivers will go. Maybe they won't pick up in certain areas, right? They won't go to certain neighborhoods. They refuse. How many uh rates and fares do you refuse? How many rides do you refuse? Like, if you recognize a neighborhood, a woman be like, nah, I'm not going to the east side because they're crazy over there. I'm not going to the east side, it's dangerous over there. Or I'm not going to the south side of Chicago. No way. I'm not going to Old Block. Nope. I don't want to see Chief Keef. Nope. No way. I've heard of the horror stories that they did on the north side. Nah, I'm not going to the north side of Philadelphia. No way. Uh-uh. But a man, he'll probably be like, well, I'm going to just go over there anyway. I don't care. I need this money. I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
But there's an argument that the
With that being said, let's go ahead and put that into trucking, right? Because I've gotten into a place to where there are some places where I won't go either. Like I've gotten comfortable to where I'm almost in a routine. Like there are just some areas that I won't go. There are some areas where I won't pick up at, that's just where I'm at right now, man. Like once upon a time I would have loved to go to California, but now I don't go out west. I don't go no further than Texas. I might go to Texas depending on how freight is. I might go to your Indianas and your Illinois, but then once I kind of started running the freight and being here a while and try to really run up the bag and do it the right way, then I figured out, man, just going out west and going to Illinois is just it doesn't pay that great of a difference to really go that far from home. It really doesn't. And it's like, okay, we're talking about maybe $300, right? And I guess if you want to play the long game, you're like, okay, if you could do $300 per week, that's $1,200 per month. If you could plan that over the year, right? That's 12 grand, right? Let's just kind of do it like that, right? And you got to think long term too. Is that going to benefit, right? Does it outweigh you being away from home, being away from, friends, family? For some drivers, it might make sense, right? For some drivers, it just might make sense to go to the bad area, right? It might make sense to go to O Block. It might make sense to deliver or pick up somebody on the north side, North Philly. Let's see how I'm kind of making the two coincide. It might make sense, but then for some, like, nah, it just ain't worth it. So therefore, the algorithm picks up on that. Maybe that has bearing on what other loads you may get in the future. I wonder. Because I'm going to tell you like this right here now. Many of those loads that do pick up, now that I'm thinking about it in real time, those loads that pick up in Charlotte, I want to say that they go up to Indiana, but I definitely know for a fact that the loads that come from Indiana, they go down to Charlotte. That's a fact. I do know that. That's for a fact. Let's go.
The entire business model is illegal.
From our perspective, Uber's and Lyft's business model is based on control without responsibility.
That's David Seligman. He's the executive director of Towards Justice, a legal nonprofit that defends workers from corporate overreach. In 2022, the organization helped lead a lawsuit on behalf of 3 rideshare drivers.
The lawsuit says if you are not an employer subject to and accountable to your workers under the labor laws, then you are powerful firms that are abusing your power under state antitrust, competition law, and unfair and deceptive acts and practices laws.
David is describing the cognitive dissonance rideshare operators have when classifying drivers. They want to have it both ways. Uber and Lyft classify drivers as independent contractors, not employers, a crucial distinction. As an employee, you're making money for someone else, which means benefits, protections, and a boss who can tell you what time to show up. But as an independent contractor, you're supposedly making money for yourself.
I've said this in the previous video, man, that they are getting rid of the working force that we know it today, that we know as today. It's on its way out the door, man. All that clocking in, and you're getting a 9 to 5 with benefits, and you're gonna go and get you a 401k with that company, and they're gonna match it, and you're gonna get health insurance and group insurance and dental insurance, and the employer, they're going to split the cost and the difference with you, and then you're going to work there 25 years, 30 years, and then you're going to retire. Nope, those days are behind us, Bo. We are moving forward into 1099 workers. That's what we are.
No benefits or protections, but freedom. You're your own boss.
If these drivers are, as you say,
But not really, though. But not really. Because these companies, they control so much of what it is that you can and can't do, even though you're quote unquote your own boss.
independent, then they need to have true economic independence. We allege that the companies have denied them that economic independence. Most importantly, by taking away their ability to set prices for themselves.
But right now, Uber and Lyft set prices for riders and wages for drivers to maximize one thing: their own.
This is the price. What you gonna do? If you don't do it, we're gonna get Juan and Miguel to do it. You see the news? You see the news? We don't care. Jesus.
Their own profits. Drivers are left out.
Uber and Lyft are saying we're not one company.
And not even that, right? Not even Miguel and Juan, right? Because I've had this conversation with newer drivers today, and they will get on YouTube and they will brag about this great paying load that they have. Ooh, look at this load. This load pays $5,000. Ooh, you should come along and get a load that pays $5,000 too, and it's only going 1,800 miles. Ooh, right? But then there's a driver at that same company that remember when that load was paying 5,800, right? And remember when on the back end of that load, you could probably tie together another good paying load, but all of that has changed. Let's see where he goes.
Right? We're just a platform, and all of our drivers are independent business people. Under our antitrust laws, they need to have the economic independence to set their own prices.
We heard something similar.
That would be cool if you could talk to your freight broker at these major companies. You could do that at a Landstar. You could talk to a freight broker at your Landstars and other companies like that, maybe even Mercer, and try to negotiate. But at JB Hunt and your Prime Incs and your Schneiders and at your other companies, it is what it is. Even though you're an independent contractor and your Swifts, even though you are a independent contractor or an owner operator, because they like to throw that word around too. Uh, you really don't have the freedom like that. It's just an illusion.
At our roundtable discussion after the experiment, every participant wanted to be an independent contractor. They like the freedom. They also want Uber and Lyft to treat them like actual independent contractors.
When I don't have a control over the pricing and you keep calling me an independent contractor, there's something very wrong with that.
So I think they get into either I'm a contractor or employee. And if I'm an employee, I want benefits. And if I'm a contractor, allow me to set the price at what I want.
Picture.
And for drivers dependent on the rideshare platforms to make a living, it's hard when you're making under minimum wage.
Especially for people that do this full time. In California, they're working 70 to 80 hours just to put food on the table, which is really, really rough.
And you look at who's on the board of both of these companies, it tells you that we have nobody on our side, right? When the general counsel of Uber is Tony West and he's the brother-in-law of Kamala Harris, then it tells you that
Okay.
these companies are tight with government. Why does Uber win? Well, because it's rigged in their favor, right?
There's a reality where drivers could be actual independent contractors, set their own rates on these platforms, and compete for your business. But that's not our world. Yet. Instead, the companies are spending hundreds of millions of dollars rewriting state labor law to reinforce the idea that drivers aren't employees, while using the fine print to handle private challenges.
We've been talking about how, and this is in the trucking industry as well, how truck drivers, they're independent contractors. However, they're being controlled like employees. And in real time, lobbyists are working to classify employees as 1099 workers. So you have, they're building the plane as we fly it, right? We're having a conversation in real time as we're putting in the work, man. It's really tough.
That's been absolutely essential to Uber's and Lyft's business model. So while they've tried to race to write laws to their benefit, they've also tried to protect themselves from public litigation through the fine print of their contracts and through arbitration clauses.
That's where David's case, on behalf of the three drivers, ended. A superior court sent it to private arbitration. The end result isn't public.
We should also be clear about is just because you're exempt from laws governing, for example, unemployment insurance premiums, that doesn't mean you're exempt from antitrust laws and competition laws. Federal and state enforcers aren't subject to forced arbitration agreements. They can investigate and bring enforcement actions against these rideshare companies. It's likely also a violation of state competition law, especially in states like California that prohibit vertical price fixing. So the California Attorney General's office would also be in a prime position to investigate the issue and bring an enforcement action like that one.
But this issue of algorithmic pricing stretches beyond rideshare.
We're just at the beginning stages of what I feel is like a battle between the common folk and then that managerial class and upwards.
There's credible reporting that Walmart, Amazon, and McDonald's are all experimenting with the technology. Those companies employ over 3 million people. In July, the FTC announced it was investigating surveillance pricing. That's the practice of companies using complex algorithms and untold data points to offer personalized pricing. The fear is that prices for something like children's Tylenol will suddenly skyrocket across major online stores just because you typed infant fever into Google. Why? Because retailers know you're desperate. The FTC is investigating Walmart, Amazon, and the leading technology vendors. We need to do the same thing, but for wages. The power of these giants lies in their ability to keep everyone, consumers, drivers, regulators, blindfolded. They're backed by billions of dollars worth of
All right. So they're back to this image right here with the cell phones, and this is very, very interesting to me, right? You have these 7 cell phones, same location, trying to get business, and you have 1, 2, 3 different prices, 2 phones with nothing on there, and another 2 phones with just the map. And I can't help but think, like, you know what? What if your trucking company is operating just like that? What if you're being tracked, okay? And these trucking companies, tech companies, they're using technology that determines whether you get a load, don't get a load, how much that load pays. Are you on YouTube? Are you not on YouTube? Come on, talk to them. Have you gotten a referral bonus? How many per month? Have you not gotten a referral bonus? How many followers do you have on YouTube? Are you young? Are you in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s? Are you white, black? Are you an immigrant? Do you speak with a heavy accent? Come on. How many days off have you taken this year? How many days off do you take per month? How many sick days do you take? Do you drive 50 miles an hour? Do you drive 60 miles an hour? Like, man, this thing can get very complex on how they could put together the algorithm for wage discrimination. That is crazy.
sophisticated algorithms and legal gymnastics, leaving us to fight in the dark. Maybe there's an innocent explanation to our fair experiment, but we won't know until the federal government shines a light.
Yeah, man, y'all let me know what y'all think about that, man. Y'all let me know. Like I said, this came from the video of More Perfect Union. They have 1.7 million subscribers. Go ahead and subscribe, man. Go ahead and check out that. Man, I'm at a loss for words myself. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'm gonna be back a little later on to do some more research on the labor laws and immigration and all that good stuff, man. But this your boy Big Money Trucker, man. Until next time, man. Y'all hold it down out there. Peace.